Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Ballard. I work with Javier in a research center called the National Center of Public Performance, and I also teach, along with Javier, a different section of the research design, applied research methods course for the master's program. And I'm just going to take you through some basics on applying for IRB approval for your capstone project, because next semester you'll be doing your capstone, sort of the culmination of your master's program, and because for the most part you will all be doing some unique piece of research, whether that be a program evaluation or a survey or something like that. You'll be collecting information from human beings, and because of that you'll need to apply for IRB application. IRB is Institutional Review Board. There's a couple different things that I'm gonna go over. And I'm gonna end this with showing you the certificate training course that you'll need to complete. So, one thing that makes it a little easier is this thing called class-based research assignment protocols that the university is going to fill out for you. So, if you are doing a program evaluation or a case study, and you're only going to be conducting an interview, you're not going to be doing surveys or participant experiments or anything like that, we're going to take care of the IRB approval for you. So this is so for example, my section of the capstone, I teach in Trenton next semester. This is what the application that I submitted looks like. Here we have the section, and then basically, I have to fill out things like describe the assignment and course objectives. It's just the capstone. Subjects and recruitments, for the most part, they're administrators, they're program personnel in the government and nonprofit agencies. Methodology, you're going to be conducting semi-structured interviews with the administrator or other program personnel or stakeholders. Importantly, these interviews will not be audio recorded. Rather, the students will take field notes. So if you intend on audio recording your interviews, then you have to fill out the full IRB application, and then you're allowed to ask, and this is all information that I fill out, and your instructor next semester is in the process of filling out as well. We fill out a modified or a template oral consent script for you, and then we include a 10-question or up to 10-question model interview guide. And you can modify these interview questions as much as you want. You can modify this oral consent script with, this type of information, topic of the capstone project. You can change these interview questions. So if you're doing a case study or a program evaluation and you're just going to be doing interviews, semi-structured interviews of non-vulnerable people, meaning program staff, administrators, other stakeholders, then you can do this. And your capstone instructor for next semester, who is a different professor than myself, will give you this to fill out. But that will be already taken care of for you. So you don't have to apply for IRB if you're doing that. If you're going to be conducting a survey, so just in general, there's this thing called IRB exemption and IRB full board review. You have to get a full board review if you're dealing with vulnerable populations. If you're going to be collecting any information from children, drug addicts, homeless people, people on welfare, essentially the people receiving government services that might be vulnerable in some way, then you have to get full board review, and that can take up to a couple months. So if you intended on dealing with those type of populations and extracting information from them directly yourself, so you going out and conducting a survey or you going out and conducting interviews with those type of people, then I would recommend changing your target population and changing your research design, and focus more on just program administrators, program staff. And really, in public administration, we're not looking at the effects of programs. We're looking at how the programs were implemented from a managerial standpoint. And we can hold a class, and we can talk about vulnerable populations. But at the end of this video, we'll get into it in a little more detail. So again, if you're doing a case study or a program evaluation or anything along those lines, and you're just going to be doing interviews, semi-structured interviews, you're not going to be doing a survey or anything else, then the IRB is essentially taken care of for you. Our IRB application is essentially taken care of for you, so you don't have to do much work. If you're going to conduct a survey yourself, or you're going to do a bunch of questions or some experimental design, then you have to fill out a full IRB exemption review. And the form, this is an example for research that I'm conducting currently. It's a much longer application, and you'll download these forms, and just in a second here I'll show you where you download them. You fill out all this information, and it's pretty intuitive when you fill it out. You're going to check a bunch of boxes. You don't have to fill out sort of this information here. This project was unfunded, and you're going to go through a series of yes or no questions, and this will help you determine whether you qualify for exemption or not. So you just check yes or no, and you can download these in electronic format and just check the boxes and all this stuff, and you go down the whole application. You check the appropriate boxes here, yes, no, and so forth, and then you add all your appendix and attachments, which are your research protocol, which is basically a summarized version of your research protocol that you're going to do for your capstone project. That includes a narrative description of the project. It should include, but not limited to, the background, objectives, subject, population, recruitment, methodology, provisions for protection of private information. Attachment 3, if you're going to be advising or sending out notices, advertising or sending out notices to recruit people, then you have to include that. Attachment 4, you include your consent forms, script of oral consent, questionnaires, and then the last attachment are your questionnaires, surveys, interview questions. So your interview protocol, all the interview questions, and if you're doing a survey, all of your survey questions. And I'll show you what my attachments look like here. This is just more documents that you have to sign and more appendix checklists that you have to check off. It's pretty intuitive throughout this. And then we get to the attachments. So here's a research protocol. I just have the objectives of it, the background and rationale. The background and rationale should have citations. What is sort of the reason why this is important? Sort of almost like your introduction. Then your procedures. This is your research design, mixed method approach, and qualitative case study analysis. So your basic, very simple, concise, truncated research design and protocols, sampling 2 distinct populations, measurement instruments, the site locations of procedures, and I'll send this copy along to Javier so you can have it to work on. Consent procedures, internal validity, data analysis, and then my bibliography. And then this is my training, the City Institutional Training Initiative certificate, which I'll show you in just a moment. And then you keep going down, and then in another copy, the full copy, I had the interview protocols and all that sort of stuff. So I'll send this along to Javier, and he'll forward it to you. So that's the full, or actually that's the full application if you're going to be conducting a survey or interviewing people. And again, if you want to interview children or other vulnerable populations, then I would highly recommend changing your target population, because that IRB application is called a full board review, and it can take months for approval. What I just showed you, is an application for exemption. Because I'm not using any vulnerable populations, you can see for exemption from full IRB review, I'm just using public managers as my target audience. The type of questions I'm asking are not really personal, potentially damaging questions. I'm not putting really any sort of force on them. And again, they're not vulnerable. They're not drug addicts. They're not receiving social services. They're not children. So we can apply for this exemption. So again, just to review these type of forms for a second, if you're doing a case study or program evaluation or something like that, and you're just going to be doing a short interview, a short semi-structured interview, then your IRB application itself is going to be taken care of by your capstone course instructor, and they're going to give you this form, and you're going to amend this form and give it back to your instructor. But if you're going to be doing a survey or a more extended interview or some sort of experimental design, then you have to apply for exemption, which is this longer application here, and it's the first big chunk of it is just checking off boxes, and then you get into your research design, objectives, and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit of a longer application, and you personally have to submit it, and you have to have a faculty advisor. So for this project, here we have you have to have a faculty advisor or co-principal investigator, and your faculty advisor will be your capstone course instructor. So you'll see my co-author on this research is Mark Holzer, so he's the faculty. So I put him as the faculty advisor. And your faculty advisor also has to complete the city training, which we'll go over in a second, but your capstone instructor will have done that. And then your graduate program director, mine is Greg Van Ryzen because it's a doctoral program, but yours will be Stephanie Newbold. So you put that information there. So this is if you're going to do a survey or an experimental design or more than 10 questions on your review, you do full board exemption. To get to these documents, you go to this website here, orra.rutgers.edu. I'll send along my course syllabus to Javier, and he'll pass it along to you so you can have a link to that. You go to ORRA, you click here at HSSP/IRBs, and this takes you to the Rutgers IRB hub. The first thing I'd recommend doing is clicking on this, How to Submit. From there, you'll show this button, which IRB should I use? And go down to Rutgers Newark. We are in the School of Public Affairs and Administration, and it's telling us we're going to use ArtSci IRB. So it's telling us we use ArtSci IRB, and the next thing I recommend you doing is clicking on here, Forms and Templates. And we know that we're using ArtSci IRB, and it might be a little confusing because this says Newark, but we're going to use ArtSci IRB here. Click on that, and it gives you all the forms. Because we're not going to use sensitive populations, do this. Don't do this. Do not do full board review. You're going to do exemption form. And that's going to open up this document here, which is your exemption form from full board review. And again, it's just a checklist. You go through the checklist and you'll fill out everything. It's fairly intuitive. And then you have down here templates for all of the additional attachments that they want. So you can just download these attachments and update them and customize them to your research if you need to. So it's pretty easy, and then you put all of that together in one PDF. And you email it to, it'll give you, on the exemption form, it'll tell you the email address to email it to it. I can check really quick what that is. I just sent one out. Sorry for the little jump there. I just pulled up this document. So when you're done filling out that application for exemption, you send it to this email address here. And then it'll have a slightly different subject line, but again, in the instructions and on those forms that you download here, this exemption form here gives you all the instructions on who to send it to and what wording to put in the email. So because this recording software I'm using only records in 15-minute chunks, I'm going to stop this video here and I'm going to encode it, and then I'm going to do a second video going over this CITI training program. It should only take maybe 5 minutes to go through with it there. But just a quick 2-second review. If you're going to do a case study or a program evaluation and you're just going to be doing a semi-structured interview that's 10 questions or less, your IRB application is going to be taken care of for you by your capstone instructor. They'll give you this document and you'll customize it to yourself, but the application will already be done. If you're going to be conducting a survey or some sort of experimental design, or you want to do more than 10 questions, then you have to do a review, or you have to apply for exemption, which is the longer form where you can find it on this Rutgers website. We're using ArtSci IRB, and then when you get to this website, click on Forms and Templates, click on ArtSci IRB, and then here it has very thorough instructions on how to submit ArtSci IRB applications, and it'll give you this form. You fill it out and you turn it in to the IRB along with a faculty advisor who you'll use your capstone instructor as your faculty advisor. But regardless of whether you're doing a case study and your IRB is going to be taken care of, or you're going to be applying for exemption, you have to complete the CITI training. So everyone in doing capstone has to complete it, and that will be the topic of the next video.